I'm really grateful for the experience. It was obviously really scary for lots of people and really beautiful for lots of people, and it always is. It's ayahuasca. But my specific trip was so powerful that I'll never forget it. I can remember every step of the way, and it was beautiful. Like I'm a bad asthmatic my whole life, and maybe that was why I was trying to get some healing. I'll share my ayahuasca story because that was an amazing one. Like, some of my LSD trips are just so insanely awesome too. They're just a little bit more ADHD, scatterbrained, hilarious, all over the place, just kind of wild. And maybe that's why I liked LSD so much, because I was like an ADHD kid my whole childhood and on speed forever, and I don't know, I just loved the razor sharp kind of imagery I would get on those journeys. And those were all really amazing too, but I feel like I didn't process a lot of things as much on some of those earlier wild LSD trips like I did when I finally did ayahuasca for the first time. I did DMT a ton of times before we went down to Peru to do ayahuasca, and I had some amazing experiences seeing every animal in the animal kingdom morphing in and out of each other. I mean, one DMT trip I was sitting in front of an old band house, and I looked down the garden, and I looked up at this tree, and it turned into Tetris pieces, and Mother Nature's face appeared, and I looked down on the ground, and there's a little baby in the garden, and I'm like, whoa, and then it grew up into an old woman, and then crumbled into bones and fell down the ground, another baby, and it did it every single race of the world. So it was every single color of human. I was like, wow, whoa, we're all the same. It was just over and over and over. It was so beautiful, and then it was gone, 5 minutes later. And I had a lot of really amazing experiences showing oneness and just the whole world being exactly the same. We're all just energy, we're all just alive and die, and then something grows out of it. A tomato grows out of your dead body or whatever. It's just a cool imagery thing that I was seeing, and I saw that a lot on many trips and stuff. But my ayahuasca was it was the first time having an experience that was different. Obviously every psychedelic is different, and you see kind of some different patterns or different imagery, or there's a different story that you're being told or something. But my first ayahuasca one was really powerful, and I was just going down for I didn't even really know why I was going to Peru. We were all going as a band together, and some of our partners were coming with us too, and a bunch of friends that were going down trying to heal trauma or drug addictions or whatever. And I was just in a phase of I'm Mike, drummer, just playing all the time, having fun, just trying to have a good time and experience what's gonna happen. And I'm really grateful for the experience. It was obviously really scary for lots of people and really beautiful for lots of people, and it always is. It's ayahuasca. But my specific trip was so powerful that I'll never forget it. I can remember every step of the way, and it was beautiful. I'm a bad asthmatic my whole life, and maybe that was why I was trying to get some healing. But I went down and we did the ceremony, and it was a different kind of place where we all went into separate huts instead of being in community. We started the journey together, and then we went separate ways into our own huts in the jungle.
That's the craziest thing, is that the ceremony center is on top of a cliff, and then the jungle was down the cliff, and so you drink it in the ceremony center, and then you walk down the cliff into the rainforest and all go separate ways. I loved it.
Our own little screened-in huts that you could hear monkeys throwing stuff on your hut, and giant animals, or felt like there's a jaguar standing on top of it at one point. I don't know. It's big birds. You could hear them, and they were real too. They weren't just the ayahuasca experience. But I remember this frequency changing in the Amazon. It was you hear all the animals and all the insects buzzing, and then it was this weird frequency just started kind of buzzing, and I'm I'm totally not gonna throw up. I can handle anything. do 10 strips all the time at festivals, like, just like ready to like see what it could show me and humble me a little bit too, because I was like, I can take this. And I remember just being like, this is just feeling, I'm starting to sweat a lot, it was hot, I don't think I'm gonna throw up, I can hold it down. And then out of nowhere, just like a giant like serpent throw up just came out, and I was like projectile vomiting everywhere, looking for my bucket, trying to like find it, and it started getting dark and I couldn't find the bucket. And then I was just like in the experience, and I was like kind of in another realm for the next 8 hours. But I remember lying back on my little bed in the hut and looking up at the ceiling, and I saw like these pyramids kind of start dripping down like this, and all of a sudden this like mantis alien being, like a praying mantis, like a real giant one, was above me. And I remember like being like, whoa, this is crazy, there's like these mantis beings here. And it wasn't only me that saw mantis beings, a lot of people on our experience saw the mantis beings. And then I was like lifted onto like this table, and I was like lying back on my back, and I remember feeling like the craziest orgasm of my life. It was like wild, like these aliens were like pulling white strands out of all my pores, and these beings, whatever they were, and I was just like this, and it was like all over me. And I was just like lying on this table being like, wow, this is just an incredible feeling. And then like after that happened, like they disappeared, and then I was like breathing better than I've never inhaled oxygen that well in my life. I still am like a twice a day inhaler, pills every night, asthmatic. And I was like, did I just get worked on or something? That was wild. And like that happened for a while. And after that happened, all of a sudden I saw John Lennon and Michael Jackson show up, and they're like standing right next to me like this, like both of them like here. And then it was like literally like a comic book flying past me of both of their lives, like, and it was all the good, the bad, the sad, the ugly stuff of the industry and the world, and just like all the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the temptations, all these things. And they were just like, don't go down the dark path, stay on your path, and just like be a positive force, And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do, I want to change the world, woo, and I was just like channeling their energy. I've had a lot of experiences where I see like Martin Luther King and like Gandhi, and like I have these experiences on psychedelics, and like I channel people, and they were there for a while, and I was just like feeling their life story and all the pain and suffering. And like they went away from my vision, and all of a sudden I heard the Amazon crying. I felt Mother Nature crying, and then I was like crying and bawling, and I was just like feeling this divine feminine energy. And I was weird, I was like lying on my back, almost feeling like I was pregnant giving birth for a second. I was like feeling this like intense feminine energy, because maybe I struggled with that in my life, being kind of more on the masculine side, and just like tapping into this feminine energy for a while, and like weeping and crying with Mother Nature, and feeling all the pain and the suffering of the world. And that happened for a while, and that went away. And then all my dead relatives showed up. I saw my grandfather who died, and my grandmother. I saw my cousin who committed suicide. I saw my grandfather I'd never met, and I had moments with him because I could feel them in the spirit realm, and I was like talking with him and having closure with my cousin who I loved so much. And like it was like this like closure, and like this healing closure that I needed to have with my family. And that happened for a while, and then all of a sudden Hitler showed up, and I'm like, this is crazy, because I have Jewish relatives and lost a lot of people in the Holocaust, and like I wasn't raised that way, and I was never really, I'm not a religious person. I love all walks of life, and Mother Nature is my religion. But like he showed up, and that was like an image for like a dark energy in the world or whatever. And when that happened, I was like, fuck it. My heart just exploded with love, and just like shooting beams of love at like the darkest, most suffering energy in the world. And I just saw this little boy, this suffering, abused little boy that he was, just that didn't get the love and care that all children need. And I was just like, just like sending all the love to all the suffering and the darkest energy that maybe my mind could think was Hitler at that moment in the trip. And And that happened for a while, and then I was like thinking about my family again, and then all of a sudden I was seeing every animal in the kingdom just morphing in and out of each other, pulsating through jaguar to bird, you know, just like every animal for a while, and then all of a sudden I was asleep. And this is probably 8 hours, I don't even know, I was just like in it. And then I woke up, like realized I pooped myself and threw up, and I like cleaned myself up and walk out of the jungle and get cleaned up in the shower, and I lied in bed with my wife, who wasn't doing ceremony that night. And yeah, it was a really wild experience. And I think the takeaway from that was needing some closure with my relatives who I didn't have that closure with, needing some affirmations or just love from like some of my spirit guides that I channel sometimes to just be like, you're on the right track, you know, keep on being a good person, I guess. And then just like being able to love the darkest energy in the world, and being able to love no matter what. You know, like what would whatever spiritual teacher do? They would love everyone no matter what, even their enemy. And I feel like that is just a constant reminder for myself, just to love everybody no matter what, even people I have a really hard time loving. I just try to remind myself, gotta send them some positive, loving energy. I don't have to be great and close and friendly with them, but I can still send love to them and move on with my day and feel good with myself. And yeah, I don't know. It was a wild experience, and that was life-changing for sure. And yeah, I recommend it for anyone needing some deep family work or trauma work or personal work. It was great. So that was one of my really wild stories.
Yeah. I recommend it to pretty much everybody. I think MDMA and ketamine and, you know, all of the psychedelics have their place. And the one though that, yeah, I recommend it, ayahuasca, to people, just knowing that you're gonna, it's not easy, and it's not like, that is the ultimate we're not partying thing.
Yeah,
like you can't move. And it's so like, that's, I'm glad that we had, you know, psychedelic experiences before that. I don't know that I would recommend it to people who've never had any psychedelic experiences. That might be a little rough. But yeah, that hopefully someday in this world and country that it will be accepted to just, you know, use your brain like how you see fit, you know, like the ayahuasca is just totally out of nowhere. Like it's incredibly powerful, and so can mushrooms, so can, you know, any ketamine, LSD, like it can be as transformative as you want. So that's how I went into doing ayahuasca too. Like, I'm just gonna go, and we're gonna, you know what I mean? It was great. Like, I can't even fully go into it, but the relatives showing up happened, mantis, you know, beings. And I'm not a, you know, super spiritual person, but I will like be the first to admit that like ayahuasca does something. I don't know, I don't understand it, man. And I don't have to, you know, I don't have to understand it. It's the same thing with like mushrooms, like they grow out of the ground. That's all you need to understand. Like, there they are, man. I don't know. Ayahuasca helped me again do how am I gonna react to everything around me? And like Mike says, send love. Like, that's, I guess at the end of the day is what ayahuasca, I mean, not everybody, you know, everybody's different, but it's, for me as well, has just been a constant reminder that like, it's not easy to love everybody all the time. And if you don't want it to be, like, you can. And I'm not perfect with that. Right. Like, honestly, this guy is no one I've ever met like you with sending love out. So you you helped to inspire me to do that. Like,
It's hard.
yeah, it's really, really hard, man. But it's also the easiest thing in a way.
Yeah.
And it's
way easier to just be loved than be angry at everybody. Cause
it's
that's
harder
super
to be
easy.
angry. Yeah, it's hard to be angry at people, dude.
It takes work.
It hurts, and like so, yeah. I'm not like super spiritual and like super out there. I mean, I am, but like you wouldn't. I don't think I'd put that out into the world. But you know, it all comes back to. It is hard to be angry. It's better to love. If you're gonna suffer towards being angry or sending love, suffering towards being angry in the end is a fruitless suffering. It doesn't get you anywhere. Suffering for love is a worthwhile suffering. You know, like it's hard to do, and there's a reason why it's hard, but if you're gonna have to do something hard and suffer through something, I feel like you want it to be a worthwhile endeavor. Either way, like you're not gonna get anywhere if you suffer and like, oh, I just hate this guy. You're still gonna be angry all the time. And in the end, if you suffer towards love, which I feel like psychedelics makes it easier to do, and it makes it so it's kind of like,
opens your heart.
Yeah,
more.
it
just makes it easier to access.
Yeah, you're suffering for the right reasons, I feel like. And I don't know that I knew that necessarily in my younger days. Like, I can put that into words now because I've thought about it and done therapy and done, you know, acceptance therapy and stuff like that. I would have never gone to therapy when I was in my, 20s, and like it takes a while to build up to everything, but the psychedelics do help open your heart and open your mind, if nothing else, to then be vulnerable enough to try new things and try new endeavors of the mind towards acceptance, but towards like radical love. And like I just kind of practice it in my own ways every day. Like, and I'm not gonna like tell everyone to do that all the time, but like I know how I want to react to the world and how I want there to be more love in the world, just like you. So I'll suffer towards love, and psychedelics make that path a lot easier to get to, I think.
Absolutely. I feel like for me too, like the spirit realm vibe that I've felt, in the realms of ayahuasca and DMT, like it's felt very different to me than all my other psychedelic experiences, and felt so much more like they all felt really real, all of them. But this one, like all my many experiences that I've had, they felt like really real. Like this is like this realm that I'm in, like with my relatives right now. It's just like, this is like, I know we release, DMT when we're born and when we die, or in a car accident, or all these things, like our brain, like it's in all of us. And like, it felt so good to be able to feel my dead relatives in that way, and feel the suffering of the world on a deeper level too. Like, and I had like so many amazing LSD experiences where there's like 80% of the trips were just really awesome and pretty fun and really psychedelic and really visual, and there's music and good times. But then there was a period of my 20s where I had like a good few hours of some of them where it's just like all up in my head, like, or I would always like look at wood grain and see like evil, grotesque images and just disturbing stuff, and it was just like this constant like battle of like, why do I see these things, and what is this making me work on? Like, why am I uncomfortable with whatever? And just like, it took me some work, personal work, through a lot of experiences to try to overcome some of my fears through being under the influences on some mushroom and LSD trips for sure, to just be more comfortable in my own skin and just like work through some of the demons in my mind or in the world, or the constant just feeling the world and the pain and the suffering like all the time. Like I definitely have been trying in my life to like not be weighed down by it, but be aware of it all the time, and and not ignore it, but like feel it deeply and just like try to like, you know, again, send love to those kind of feelings and all regions of suffering in the world everywhere. And like being aware of that is healthy for me, because it's really easy to like not think about that and just be like a, you know, privileged white consumeristic American like that doesn't have to think about suffering really ever. And I maybe this is just something like my parents really instilled in me, and I just like always think about it all the time, where I go by certain trees and I feel the suffering, or I see certain people or regions or wars or whatever, and I feel it so deeply, and it's like, it's really painful, but I try to like not let it take over my life and ruin my happiness, because like at the end of the day, like I'm just trying to wake up the next day with a good positive outlook on life and not be weighed down by all the negative shit in the world, because like it's always there. You can find it every day wherever you want to look.
You're really good at that, every day to be super positive.
It's hard.
You're really good at that for sure.
And then sometimes I come home drained and exhausted, and I'm not the most positive, and I'm trying to work on that too. And it's just, it's a journey. But yeah, these reminders that I get on many psychedelic journeys of just being aware of how we're all the same, we're all the same family, and we're all on this really weird journey trying to just figure it out, and having empathy and, you know, holding space for people that are suffering, and being just being there to just love them regardless of whatever part of their journey they're on. Yeah, just trying to be a responsible dad, I guess, at this point in my life. Trying to just figure that out. It's a journey.
Groups are great, and there's time and place for that as well. Like in here, like this is a necessary, in my opinion, a necessary part of society. You know, have a small group and have someone, a professional therapist, to guide you through these emotions that you're having. Because if I would have had that for a couple of my sessions, like I can't imagine the power, like an unbiased observer who's been there, who can help make sense of these emotions, especially after the fact, instead of going and like drinking a beer somewhere, you know, like that used to be like what I did, but you know, that's a very powerful thing, and therapy combined with the power of psychedelics is something that has, I mean, it could change everything for sure. You just gotta let it.
Absolutely. For me, I think also like on the therapy aspect of it, like I think I was doing so many psychedelics for 20 years and feeling headstrong in my own body, like I got all my shit figured out. And I feel like a turning point was a few years ago. In our scene, you see a lot of people partying so hard and like abusing psychedelics or abusing the party in a way where it's like, it doesn't look like something I want to try or something I want to do. And I kind of avoided trying ketamine until a few years ago. And I was against it because I just saw people doing it all night long at festivals and just getting too fucked up, and just like, it just looked gross. But then I tried it with like one of my best friends who had lots of experience, and it was a really safe environment, and it was just like the two of us, and like it was life-changing. It was like the most beautiful therapy session that I had at that point in my life a few years ago. And then I've had, you know, I don't know, maybe 10 or so really amazing ketamine experiences since, and they have all been just so beautiful. And like every single time I'm doing them, I have done it at some music events, and it's been wonderful. But then I've also done it with close friends in like a really safe place. Every time it's like instant therapy session. We all are just like getting this stuff off of our chests and just processing things in our marriages or our friends, and like talking about things that we want to work on or something that like just needs to be expressed. And it's like, it's unavoidable. Every time I've done it recently, I've just been in that place to do, while doing ketamine, it's just been open and into that mindset of this is medicine and this is therapy, and I understand why people do this. I judged it at first, and then trying it now with an open mind, and it's like, it's been absolutely beautiful and life-changing and just like really healthy. And then it kind of like led me into actually getting a real therapist in a way, with tons of, you know, my husband's and my band, their recommendations of getting some. And like, I definitely, ketamine has helped me find that for myself recently. And I've had a few really beautiful MDMA ceremonies the past few years as well, with some small groups of friends that have just been like so heart-opening and beautiful, and also working on trauma and working on love and openness and touch and connection. Like, I've had issues with that in my own life too, just like being vulnerable and being close with really amazing friends, but like not trying to get it on with them, but like being, you know, held and like vulnerable, able to cry with them, or just like being, you know, open for that love and giving that love back. It's been just really nourishing the past few years.
Radical acceptance therapy is kind of a way psychedelics help. And just taking that first step to get yourself into a place to be able to do that, like you're saying, you know, like people are resistant, you know, totally understand. But once you're there, you're gonna have the conversations, and it's not gonna be a bad thing, because you're not a bad person, and like you're gonna get through it, and it'll help you. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but just like regular therapy, like that's hard too. Like, I mean, and this should be regular therapy. This is a tool. You know, we've evolved this brain for some reason, probably. Or I mean, who knows? But all I know is that it's here, and you're on the planet. Get off of it a couple times while you're on it, you know what I mean? And like, yeah. It'll be okay, man. Like, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But I have a feeling it's probably for you, you know?
Honored to be here at the Pearl Psychedelic Institute, here in the beautiful mountains, some of the oldest mountains in the world, and it's just incredible to have an opportunity for true, deep healing and connection with yourself, being able to have a safe, comfortable space with really highly trained staff. It's just exactly what every community needs, is a place like this, and hoping that, yeah, they can continue to do more work with MDMA, and just obviously they're just only doing ketamine right now, but just really hoping that the doors can just open up for all of the healing for anyone that needs it. You can see the changes that happen in individuals here, and just hearing the stories of these life-changing experiences of veterans and trauma patients. It's the best work that could be being done ever, really. We all need this work.
For society to have a full grasp, and for mankind to have a full grasp on the possibilities of psychedelic therapy, these kind of places like the Pearl need to exist to be able to, you know, connect with, it doesn't matter who you are. Some businessman could come walking off the street and feel accepted here and accepted into this seemingly new way of treating people, although it is not new. Like, this has been happening in cultures since culture was first a thing.
Thousands of years.
So it's like, let's have spaces like this with professionals who have studied this for their whole lives. I listen to I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, like I don't know all about the climate, but I'll listen to a climate scientist because they've dedicated their life to it, just like, you know, Raymond has. Like, this is a person given this space to help people, so like, let's help people. And again, not everybody wants to do it, and that's fine, and it's not fully embraced by society and government and people, but it will be because it helps. And it really gets you to think about something differently. These people around you at the Pearl are like you as well. Like, they don't know everything, they know, and they know what they are doing though, and ultimately it's here to help you, and it needs to be here, and it will be here, and it will be fully embraced by the world, I think, pretty quickly. Once the actual information gets out there, you know, it's hard to suppress actual truth and change. So it'll get there, I think.
Thank you for watching, and please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channel.
Hey, what's up? It's Billy and Mike from Papadosio. And if you need any more information on psychedelics, psychedelic-assisted therapy, or to make a donation to the Pearl,
please visit pearlpsychedelicinstitute.org.
We are on all socials at Papadosio, Papadosio. Papadosio.com. You'll find all the tour dates and merch. There's a Facebook, Papadosio Family on Facebook. Is a good place to go to get a vibe of what our fan base and community is like. We have some of the most loving fans in any music scene in the whole world.
All walks of life are welcome, and definitely a wonderful place to meet new people on the family page too.
You want to hear us play a song? Request it. Maybe we'll get your track you want to, Dosio track you want to hear in there, because that's kind of, we pay attention.
We do that a lot. Yeah,
we pay attention to what people are.
We look for requests.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes it more fun.